Hi everyone, welcome back to another yearly tier ranking video of all the books I've read in 2024. I can't believe we're already doing this video again. It feels like I just made this video not very long ago and here we are doing it again. I actually really enjoyed making this last year. It's fun to reflect on the books I read and what I actually think about them after having the time to like absorb my rating on the book and absorb like, do I actually think about this book after I finish it? I don't know. I just feel like my opinion on books changed so much after I let the book settle in. So today, once again, we're gonna do another tier ranking video of all the books I read in 2024. I also wanted to go over some Goodreads stats with you to start off the video to share a little bit of my reading year with you guys before we just dive straight into it. I have read 19,887 pages in 2024 and I read 47 books. I will preface that by saying I did DNF some of these books and so they are counting some of my DNF'd books. It's very few. It's maybe 3. I'll go over that when we tier rank them. But the shortest book I read in 2024 was Ice Planet Barbarians. 188 pages, and then the longest book I read was House of Flame and Shadow, which was 835 pages. My average book length in 2024 was 423 pages. My most shelved book, according to Goodreads, is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and my least shelved book that I read in 2024 is Grove Hollow Metamorphosis, and that one doesn't really surprise me because that is an indie published book and I don't think it has too much traction. I haven't seen too many people talk about that one. So my average rating that I rated other books in 2024 is a 3.6 star. I do actually agree with that because I was being a little more stingy about my star rating in 2024 versus other years. My highest rated book that I read on Goodreads was actually The Ballad of Never After, which is sitting at 4.46 stars on Goodreads at the moment. My first review of the year was The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. My last review of the year was Addicted After All by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This past year on Goodreads, I started really trying to give a little like blurb of my thoughts on the book after I finished reading them. So I pretty much reviewed every single book that I read this past year. If you want to add me on Goodreads, my link will be in the description. So if you're interested in that, you totally can add me on there. And before we get into this video any further, I don't know if you've noticed, but my background has kind of changed a little bit since the last time I have recorded. So I did add the center bookshelf here, and actually you probably can't tell in the scope of where the camera is sitting, but this bookshelf is actually different as well. This has one more shelf added onto it and it's just a new bookshelf in general. My old one was kind of falling apart. So for Christmas, my parents were nice enough to get me not just one bookshelf, but this one as well. I kind of wanted that corner space to be more utilized and I really am liking this vibe that we have going on here. I probably want to rearrange my bookshelf a little bit better in the future, but for now, it is what it is. I kind of do like the structure of this. So I hope you enjoy the new background. Anyways, I want to get into this tier ranking video. Okay, I apologize for the quality. I had to switch to my iPhone because my battery died in my camera, and of course I have no batteries that are charged, and honestly, I'm in the mode to do the video right now, so I want to do it, and I don't have time to wait because I have plans later, so we're just gonna roll with this. I am gonna start screen recording right now, and let's start the tier ranking. When you put them in Tier Maker, it just kind of like throws them all in randomly, so this is in no particular order at all. Addicted After All, this is the, I don't know, what book is this? It's in the Addicted Callaway series, and it's actually the most recent one I've read, I think. So I've been really trying to work through that series this past year. I did not finish it yet. It's a really long series. Addicted After All, though, I hate to do it, but I am going to put it under the struggle bus because Obviously, I love the series. I love the characters. I don't know, this one in particular, it really just felt like it was dragging. Honestly, this whole series is kind of starting to drag a little bit for me, so I'm glad that it's almost done. And I'm kind of intimidated with the last 3 books that I have to read because they're really big. And that was kind of my gripe with Addicted After All, is I just felt like it was really big and I just didn't feel like it needed to be that big. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, this next book is Splintered. Let me just hold on. I'm just gonna fix the screen recording really quick. So far this video is like the absolute struggle bus right now. I do not understand what's going on. Let me adjust the screen a little bit. Hopefully this will be a bit better. I was trying to get all the ads off and not get the ads in, but I think I've maybe fixed it. Splintered, this is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. Okay, so I enjoyed this book, but at the time I read it, I feel like I was dragging through it because I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I'm actually gonna put it in funsy and no regrets. If you've watched any of my other videos, you should know by now that I am writing an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and so this was not only a book to read for fun, but it was also kind of like research. So it was a fun read. I did enjoy it. I learned a lot from reading it. All in all, it was a fun read. I would probably recommend it to people, so I don't have regrets for reading that. Oh my gosh, Ice Planet Barbarians. Okay, so Ice Planet Barbarians. I cannot believe I started the series this year, and I cannot believe how much I actually enjoy it. If you know anything about Ice Planet Barbarians, it's a very, very smutty book. It is about like this group of girls who like get abducted and have to survive on this ice planet. Yeah, it's a very easy read. It's a very easy read. It's just kind of fun and lighthearted, and you don't really have to think too much while reading it. And so I really enjoyed it. It was a very good palate cleanser. I'm gonna do highlight read, and I think about this book a lot because I do think about this book a lot because it's so random and there's just so much going on, and I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna put it as a highlight, and I think about it a lot. I think I gave it like 4 stars on Goodreads, which is like kind of a high rating. Honestly, it's probably more of a 3-star, but like I just thoroughly enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 stars. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I have started my Harry Potter era. I love Harry Potter. I'm super into Harry Potter, but I've actually never read all the books all the way through. When I began getting into Harry Potter, all of the movies had come out up until the last movie that got released was The Order of the Phoenix. So I read The Half-Blood Prince and The Deathly Hallows, loved them. So now I'm trying to go back, read all the books, and then reread the last 2. I had a lot of fun reading this book. I don't know if I'd say it was a highlight read. Well, I mean, all Harry Potter books are a highlight read. Anything related to Harry Potter, it is one of my top fandoms that I feel like I love so much. But okay, now that I keep talking about it, I'm like, maybe I should put it as a highlight read, and I think about it a lot because I do think about Harry Potter in general. And I had a lot of fun reading The Sorcerer's Stone. It was really interesting seeing like what they kept the same in the movies, what they changed in the movies, and all that stuff. And obviously the books are always way better. I'm on the Chamber of Secrets actually right now. That's what I'm reading, and I just am like really enjoying being in the Harry Potter world. It's just so fun. Serpent and the Wings of Night. You know, unfortunately, I'm gonna put that under the struggle bus. I'm almost tempted to put it and never think about this book. I don't know. I'm gonna stick it in struggle bus for now. That might end up changing later. I was really disappointed in this book because it got a lot of publicity and a lot of hype around it. I didn't really resonate with the characters. The main character, the girl, she kind of annoyed me. I've noticed when I read books that have like the tournament kind of trope, like Hunger Game vibe, like where they're competing in this tournament to the death, like if it doesn't have a purpose for them competing in the tournament, I'm kind of just like, okay, like why are they competing? Like we don't even know. I might move it to never think about this book because I literally never think about this book. Like from the minute I ended it, I have not thought a single time about this book. I don't even know if I remember how it ended. Maybe I will put it and never think about this book because I actually can't, like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, can I even tell you anything that happened in this book? All I know is there's a tournament and there's vampires. I'm gonna move it. I was really disappointed in it. The verdict's still out for that series. I'm not gonna quit on it yet, but I just really just didn't care for it. Thrive, also an Addicted Calloway series book. I actually did enjoy this one though. I liked this plot a lot better than the plot in Addicted After All. I don't know, I just felt like Addicted After All was like so repetitive, but Thrive, and maybe it was just, like I said, where I was at mentally was just like more receptive to that series when I read Thrive versus addicted after all, but I actually did enjoy Thrive, so I'm going to put it in Funsy and No Regrets. Indigo Ridge. So I actually read this book while I was in Hawaii. So I read it rather quickly, but it was pretty meh for me. I don't know if it was a struggle bus necessarily. No, I don't think it was a struggle bus. I was captivated. I think maybe I didn't connect with it because I was more into the whole murder mystery part of it than the actual romance. I didn't really feel like the two love interests had much chemistry. It was kind of a fun read. It was easy. I don't really have regrets reading it. I just don't know if I'm going to continue the series or not. So I'll put it there. Daisy Hates: The Great Undoing. So this was my year of Magnolia Parks. I started Magnolia Parks and I just love the series. I love it so much. I will say I am more prone to the Magnolia Parks love story portion than Daisy Hates. So Daisy Hates: The Great Undoing I am going to put as a highlight read, and I think about it a lot because this whole series I just think about quite a lot. Like I said, Daisy Hates I probably don't think about as much as Magnolia and BJ. Phantom of the Opera. So this was actually a book club book. Me and my sister and a couple of my friends started a little book club, and we wanted to read a classic. We kind of all chose a book, we did a spinner, and we landed it on Phantom of the Opera. And I'm actually glad that I read it. It was a little bit of a struggle bus just because kind of all classics are, if you're not used to reading classics. I kind of am because I'm an English major, so I had to read a lot of classics. But I'm gonna put it in Funsy and No Regrets. I actually enjoyed reading this book, and I actually could not believe how much I was thinking about Phantom of the Opera after I finished reading it. We also ended up watching the movie after we all finished, and that was interesting as well. But I definitely thought it was fun, and I don't have regrets. I don't think it's a highlight read or anything like that, but I do kind of think about it sometimes. A false start. So here's the problem. I read all of Elsie Silver's Gold Rush Ranch series, and I did enjoy some of the books, but they all kind of blend together. I don't know why I can't keep the titles in order. A false start, I'm pretty sure is... yeah, that was the last one. So the last one is actually my favorite. So I'm going to say I think about it a lot because I'm pretty sure the storyline is the one with, what is his name? Stefan Dalka's Nadia. Nadia is the girl and the guy is Griffin. I just really like them. I like them, and I do think about a couple scenes from this book specifically, and it sounds really bad since I can barely remember their names, but it's been a little bit since I finished this book, but that was by far my favorite. So I'm going to put it as a highlight read, and I think about it a lot. Okay, Zodiac Academy, the first one, The Awakening. I'm actually going to put that as a highlight read, and I think about it a lot as well. I'm enjoying this series. I do think about this series a lot. I think about these characters a lot. The next book I need to read is The Reckoning, which is the third one, and I kind of can't wait to dive back into this world. A Ship of Bones and Teeth. This was another one that I kind of had high hopes for, and it did fall flat. I am maybe gonna put that under... It was a fun read, and I do remember reading it. It's not like I'm like struggling to remember the plot or anything of this book, and most of it was fun, but it was a struggle bus towards the end. So I am gonna put it on struggle bus. By the end of it, I was really done reading it. I was kind of like, okay, let's wrap the story up, and I wasn't super satisfied with the way it ended. I think there was a good premise. The story there was good, and the execution was a little and I'll leave it at that. Okay, another Elsie Silver Gold Rush Ranch book, The Front Runner. I think that's the third one, right? I did like this one too, but I'm gonna put it in Funsy and No Regrets because I don't really think about this one very much. Okay, Does It Hurt? This book's kind of crazy. So I read it, and this is one of those books where at the time I was reading it, I was kind of like, there's a lot of smut in here, and I was kind of skimming through a lot of the smut parts because I didn't really care. I wanted to go back to the plot. I mean, you can only read so much smut until you're like, okay, I don't really care about this anymore. But I think I'm going to put it as a highlight read, and I think about it a lot because the amount of times I think about specific scenes from this book, I hate to admit how much I actually think about this book. There were some like shocking scenes in there, and some scenes that I do just think about quite often. And I only gave it a 3-star on Goodreads, but I did end up actually enjoying it fairly well. Okay, another Gold Rush Ranch book. This is a photo finish. This is the second book in the series. I'm gonna put it in Funsy and No Regrets. Honestly, wherever the next Gold Rush Ranch book probably comes in, I think I'm gonna put them all under Funsy and No Regrets because they all were fun. I liked them, but like I said, my top was definitely a false start, and I actually think about that that book. The rest of them I kind of don't as much. They definitely weren't as good as Chestnut Springs in my opinion. Gosh, I feel like nothing can top Chestnut Springs. I just started her Rose Hill series and that one just still does not have the same energy as Chestnut Springs does. So The Summer I Turned Pretty, this one I'm gonna put it in, if I didn't DNF it I should have. It wasn't like completely terrible, but I just like really didn't care about it. I think it's because it was very young. It's written for someone a lot younger than I am. Very like adolescent age group, and I just didn't connect with the characters. I really didn't care about them, and it was a short book, so I finished it, but I should have probably DNF'd it. Spectacular is next. I actually just read this one in the winter time, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. It's just a holiday novella. I mean, how good can a holiday novella get? But I mean, I was captivated. It has a lot of pictures in it because it's like a special edition, and I thought it was cute. So I'll put it there. Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. I definitely am gonna put that in Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy. Jessa Hastings' writing is just so freaking good. Her imagery and her metaphors and they're just so good. I have so many quotes saved from this series that like I constantly look at and like can relate to. I have been through so many chaotic relationships and so many toxic relationships, and I have been in a relationship like Magnolia and BJ. There were so many relatable lines, relatable quotes, like I just love those characters so much. There's not enough stars in the galaxy to rate that book. The Long Way Home was definitely a wild ride. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Reckless is next, and I hate to do this, but if I didn't DNF it, I should have, and honestly, I probably should have DNF'd that book. I struggled my way through that book. Honestly, I probably skimmed the last half of it. Powerless was good. I do think it's overly hyped, which I'll get to later because it's going to be in my rankings somewhere. I just didn't like Reckless. I just didn't like it. I just thought it was so slow, so boring. There was nothing really happening. Didn't like it. Another one, and I hate to do it. Sorry, Lauren Roberts. Sorry. Oh. Where did Powerful go? Oh, sorry, I accidentally... Okay, Prisoner's Throne we'll talk about in a minute. Sorry, I didn't see Powerful go up here. Powerful, if I didn't DNF it, I should have, and I should have DNF'd this one. I really shouldn't have even read it. I knew I wasn't gonna like it. I didn't like the character who it was about, and it was a little novella that goes in the Powerless series. It was kind of a waste of my time. And I hate to say that because I don't think books are a waste of time, but it felt like kind of a waste of time because I knew I wasn't gonna like it, and I pushed myself to read it, and it was like very meh. I just felt like, okay, like I read that, whatever. The Prisoner's Throne, I actually enjoyed this, so I'm gonna put this up in Funsy and had no regrets. I wasn't a huge fan of, well, The Stolen Heir, I'll get there. Wasn't a huge fan of that book, but The Prisoner's Throne, which is the second one that just came out, it was pretty good. It kind of redeemed that series for me. So Hothouse Flower, I think I'm gonna put that as, again, Funsy and no regrets. Actually, this one's kind of interesting because I thought this one would be an easy, like, 5-star, like, love this book so much, because Reich and Daisy are my favorite couple in the Addicted Calloway series, and the book kind of didn't hit that level for me, which I was kind of surprised about. I did enjoy the book, but it wasn't like a highlight read or anything like that. It happened one summer. I'm gonna say, you know, it was a really cute book, and I probably would recommend for people to read it, especially if you're really into romance. I think at this point in time, I just wasn't super invested in romance reads. I am gonna put it in the struggle bus because it was a little bit of a struggle bus for me, but it wasn't a bad book. I did enjoy the plot. First of all, it takes place in Westport, Washington, which is like a fishing town. I'm actually from a like very fishing town based in Washington, and so like, I could relate to a lot of it. Like a lot of my friends are fishermen, a lot of people I know have fisherman husbands and all that, and it really dives into that in that book, so that was kind of fun for me to read. You know what, I don't know, maybe I'll do it in Funsy and no regrets. It wasn't super bad at all. I did enjoy myself while reading it. It just wasn't like, it wasn't a favorite of mine by any means. Daisy Hates, so let's scroll up a little bit because we are gonna do that as a highlight read, and I think about it a lot. That whole series, I think about it a lot. Obviously, I'm at least gonna put it there, and Daisy Hates just, it isn't my ultimate fave, but I'm gonna put it there. Two Twisted Crowns. Oh my god. You guys, this series, This duology is so good. Like, so good. I have to put this in Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy. I was actually just looking at highlights from these books just the other day, and I was just like, gosh, this series is just so good. If I could recommend any series probably in this past year, it would be that one, or Magnolia Parks. Two Twisted Crowns is the second book in the series. The first book we'll get to in a little bit. It's called One Dark Window. So good. So good. And it's so different. That's what I liked about it. It's so different. It was just really refreshing to read something so different, and it actually got me a bit emotional at the end. Definitely a Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy for that book. Beach read. I'm gonna put this in I never think about this book, because I just don't. Emily Henry, I just don't think she does it for me. I have read Beach Read, I've read Book Lovers. Did I read another book? No, just Beach Read and Book Lovers. I don't know, her books are always very mid. I end up like, I kind of just want to get to the end. Her characters sort of have chemistry, but maybe I like just like the chaotic romances more than like people who have their shit together romances. I don't like people to like know what they're doing with their lives, and maybe that's what I don't like about Emily Henry. I don't know. Nightbane, part of the Light Lark series. I'm gonna put it in Funsy and No Regrets. That was a fun read. I do like this series. I haven't read Sky Shade yet, but yeah, Nightbane, that was a fun read. So Gold. Okay, definitely if I didn't DNF it, I should have, and I definitely should have DNF'd this book, let me tell you. If I were to make a recommendation to anybody who's reading the Plated Prisoner series, which is starting with Guild, stop at what, Gold? I don't even think you need to read Glow, to be honest with you. I would not read Gold. I would not read Goldfinch. I haven't read Goldfinch, but from the comments I've seen, it sounds like it's going to be exactly like Gold. And Gold, unfortunately, I hate to say this because Raven Kennedy had such a good series lined up. She had such a good plot going, and then it just kind of like fizzled. And just, I think Gold and Goldfinch are a waste of time. I think she should have ended the series at the end of Glow. I think that there was an easy way she could have wrapped it up, and then she kind of kept it going, and then now it's kind of, it just feels very like disjointed. I just am not vibing with how she was ending the series, and I just haven't heard good things about Goldfinch, so I'm probably not going to read that. One Dark Window, once again, let's put this up in Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy. I love these books. I love these books. Rachel Gillig did so good writing them. Her writing is just so good. Such an interesting concept, and so many good quotes come from these books. Highly recommend reading them. Light Lark. Once again, I think I'm gonna do Funsy and No Regrets for that book because it was just a fun read. There are some twists and turns, some like good plot twists, so I definitely would recommend it. Magnolia Parks. This one obviously is gonna be Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy for that book. It's just so good. I think I've raved about Magnolia Parks and Jessa Hastings enough, so I think you know how I feel about it. I'll leave it at that. So Powerless, I'm gonna put in Funsy, and I have no regrets reading that book. People literally are obsessed with this series. People are crazy about this series, and I really cannot believe it. I thought it was very insta love. I thought it was very kind of predictable. I really didn't vibe with the girl main character for a very long time, and I thought a lot of the things that I was reading in there had been done before, and I've seen them done better elsewhere. So I'm really surprised by the hype of this book, and that's no hate to Lauren Roberts at all. That's just my opinion. I feel like the first book is good. Reckless was not that great. Powerful, would not waste your time on that one, that little novella. And literally, if you don't read Powerful, it's not going to affect Powerless or Reckless. So if you don't want to read Powerful, please do not waste your time. I am going to read the last one because Lauren Roberts did specifically say that Reckless was going to be really slow. Off to the Races. This is another one. Like I said, Gold Rush Ranch, all of them are pretty funsy with no regrets of having read it. Oh my gosh, I forgot that I read Bride this past year. I forgot about this book. Okay, so I am going to put it as funsy and no regrets reading it. It is almost probably a highlight and I think about it a lot book, but the reason why I'm not going to put it there is because I really probably don't think about it all that much. But when people ask about it, I'm like, yes, read that book. You know, like, it's good. I kind of liked how different it was, and I liked the vibe of the werewolf vampire dynamic, and it was just kind of fun. So we got Twisted. All of her like Never After series that she does, like the fairy tale retellings, are very mid in my opinion, but Twisted was actually one of my favorites. That one is in Aladdin retelling where Jafar, it's about Jafar because she writes about the villains, so it's about Jafar and Jasmine. So I'm gonna put it in Funsy and Have No Regrets. Icebreaker, okay, so I might get hate for this one because this is a very popular book and I literally do not see why at all whatsoever. So I actually did DNF that book. I got probably 25% of the way through and I was like, how do people like these characters? The little phrases and like dialogue is so cringe. The characters had no chemistry. It was very insta love. They were like just like desperate and pining for each other, and I was like, am I supposed to like this? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Having read Elle Kennedy's hockey romances, I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and waste my time over this book. So I DNF'd that book. DNF'd it. Oh my gosh, that's right. I read Once Upon a Broken Heart this year. Oh my god, that's so exciting. So Once Upon a Broken Heart, that book is so good. I loved it. I'm gonna put that one in highlight read and I think about it a lot, but The Ballad of Never After, I'm actually gonna put in Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy for that book. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so good. I think about this book a lot. There's a couple specific scenes that like go through my brain all the freaking time and I just love them. I love them, love them, love them. I love Jax. I love Evangeline. They're so cute, and this, oh my gosh, the second book is just so good. Now on the flip side, Curse for True Love. And I don't know if I just maybe don't like the way that Stephanie Garber like ends her books. I don't know, because I had the same issue with Caraval. Liked Caraval, loved Legendary, was very mid about Finale. So that's exactly the way that I feel about A Curse for True Love. It's very mid compared to the other two books, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend Once Upon a Broken Heart series. If you're gonna read Once Upon a Broken Heart and have any desire to read Caraval, please read Caraval first and then go into Once Upon a Broken Heart. If you don't care about reading Caraval, you really don't need to read it first. It's not going to affect anything in Once Upon a Broken Heart. So Kiss the Sky, I'm honestly trying to remember what I kind of thought about this book because I read it like really early in 2024. I think I'm going to put it in Funsy and Have No Regrets. I know it was about Rose and Connor, and I think it was kind of similar to Hot House Flower where I was expecting a little bit more. I was expecting to like it a little bit more, but I didn't. But I still don't regret reading it. So I'm going to put it in Funsy and Have No Regrets. Addicted for Now, I did like this one. I just don't know if it was a highlight. I don't know if I would consider any of the Addicted series a highlight. I'm gonna put in Funsy and Have No Regrets too, because I really kind of stand by my statement of I just don't really think that any of the Addicted series that I read were like a highlight read or a Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy read. It's hard because I really like these characters, but the plots of these books, like I'm kind of getting tired of because it is kind of the same plot over and over and over again, but it's like a little bit different scenario each time. This was kind of fun. So I read another classic this past year. I read Alice in Wonderland. The reason why I read that is to get more information for my Alice in Wonderland retelling. I wanted to see what the original Lewis Carroll version was like, so I read it. And I'm gonna put it in Funsy and Have No Regrets because it was good material, it was a decent read, and I enjoyed it. Okay, here's another very controversial one. A Fate Inked in Blood. I DNF'd that book so hard. Again, I think I only got 30% of the way through the book and I was like, what is this? Like, what am I not connecting in this book? If you think that I should go back and read it, please let me know. And please make a good case for why I should, because I just, from what I read, I was like not captivated by the main character. Again, the insta love. Like I could tell who the love interest was going to be and I was just like, what? Like, I don't know. I just didn't like it. It didn't do it for me. House of Flame and Shadow. This one obviously is a highlight read, but I'm not gonna do Not Enough Stars in the Galaxy, and that's really disappointing actually for me to say, but I'm gonna put it as a highlight read and I think about it a lot because I think about all Sarah J. Maas books all the time. I did give this book 5 stars. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it should have gotten 5 stars. Probably should have gotten 4. I really have some serious gripes about this book. I'm interested to see how she's going to proceed with other books coming out. We had been waiting so long for this book, and we were waiting so long for this one specific thing that got, you know, teased in Sky and Breath, and then Flame and Shadow comes out, and that portion of the book wasn't very involved. So I don't know. I'm trying not to give away any spoilers. It just didn't reach like a super high level for me, but I do think about it a lot. I'm glad I read it. So anyways, that's where I'm gonna put House of Flame and Shadow. The Stolen Heir. Okay, wait, where did I put The Prisoner's Throne? Okay, I put The Prisoner's Throne in Funsy and Have No Regrets. I'm gonna put The Stolen Heir in Struggle Bus. I kind of remember skimming through some portions of that book because Oak was not my favorite character and The Stolen Heir revolves around him. Like I said, The Prisoner's Throne really like brought it sort of full circle. I did enjoy that book, but The Stolen Heir, not my favorite. So I'm gonna put it in Struggle Bus. Zodiac Academy, Ruthless Fae. This was the second book in Zodiac Academy and I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna put it in highlight read and I think about it a lot. I really like these characters so far. They're very chaotic. Some of them are not very nice. Some of them are. Some of them you're rooting for. Some of them you like hope get taken out. It's very fun. I like that series. Last but not least, we have Grove Hollow Metamorphosis. This book was actually pretty good. I'm gonna put it in Funsy and Have No Regrets. It is about a girl who falls in love with a ghost. It is an indie published book, so you may or may not have heard of it. She's coming out with the next book soon if she hasn't already, but I do recommend checking it out because I think she did a really fun job with her writing and her imagery and her setting in this book series, and I did really enjoy her characters. So this is kind of the lineup we have. I'll scroll a little bit so that you guys can see since it's kind of going out of frame. It was a really good year for reading. I think this is the most I've ever read in a year. 47 books, that's a lot. So I am pretty proud of myself. In 2023, I read a lot of, well, I was reading a lot of Sarah J Maas, so I feel like a lot of those books were like, oh my gosh, you know, a 1 billion star rating. This year, it was definitely a hodgepodge of a lot of different things, and I realized that I started a lot of series this year, and so I kind of have a lot of series that I probably want to wrap up in 2025. I hope you got some sort of insight from this tier ranking video. Maybe you got some new books to add to your TBR list. Maybe you have some books that you're like, nope, after hearing what you had to say about it, I want nothing to do with that. Hopefully you find whatever you need out of this video. If you agree or disagree with any of my rankings, please be sure to comment. I love to see the interactions and it helps my channel. Speaking of helping my channel, please make sure to hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Anyways, thank you so much for watching up until this point, and we will see you on the next video. Bye bye.